the bad and the ugly.
No, sir.
For Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai, the former president, and for the current administration. It is good. They can go ahead and, present all the dossiers they have against Uhuru. I think politically it is good for him, because Kenyans have zero expectations from Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai.
No, sir.
But Kenyans have expectations with the regime they put in place.
Yes.
Okay? And every time you put a blame on someone who is not in the scene, you can only build them. Politically, someone who has exited, but you keep bringing him. And I've told you on this show many times that we will keep using previous governments as point of reference.
Yes.
As to where we are today and and the things we would like to see done. When Moi took over from Kenyatta Senior, he never made any complaints about his leadership. In fact, that is when he would have made so many complaints, because that is when the nation was being born and being established. He was dealing with a lot of mess, maybe the mess of the Mau Mau, where the legit Mau Mau, fighters never got to have their share. I'm sure Moi had to deal with that. There was when he took over. So for 24 years, Moi ran the country. We knew nothing was moving on. But we know, food was affordable. There was nothing moving on in terms of, big economic steps. Then came Kibaki, who took over after 24 years of Moi's rule. Never complained, not a single day, about what Moi had done. And I don't think there is ever a president in this country who will pick a depleted economy than Kibaki. Where it was left by Moi. He came, worked in the first year of his presidency. He gave us free education, something we thought that was not possible in this country.
Yes.
Kibaki came in, he streamlined the systems. He opened up infrastructures, road infrastructures like we have never seen in this country. The exportations, the export percentage of this country went, up. We started doing manufacturing. We felt that a nation can grow economically. We can make microeconomic decisions that can affect even the people down there. There was so much circulation of money within Kibaki's time because of his loan, mantra. From where he borrowed his money from, he would come, negotiate better loans, and tell the loan givers, hey, you don't have to give us, any equipment. As much as you're giving us loans, let us manage the loans ourselves. We have cement companies in the country. Let that money come and grow our cement companies, and that is where you see the good thing about economy. Yes. Simba, it is about numbers. Numbers don't lie. If you look at cement companies, there are some of the companies that grew exponentially in Kibaki's time. Why? Because when the time he was picking these loans, he would empower these companies, and these Chinese would buy cement from us, they would buy steel from us, they would buy basically everything from us. And so there was so much in circulation for everybody who was doing any form of business. People are not satisfied, never complained about Moi. He did what he had to do. Uhuru comes in, he's the first president. I'm trying to paint this picture so that you can see where we are coming from, a country when we have a government that is now crying foul about a president who served his tenure.
Yes.
So Uhuru comes in, he's the first president. We give a recurring expenditure constitution worth 1 trillion. Kibaki, the much he had collected was about 800 billion. So even the recurring expenditure of Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency was not even enough what Kibaki had collected. So Kibaki did not tell Uhuru, I am handing you over a new constitution with 1 trillion expenditure, where you have to, build other 47 small county government. I'm giving you a constitution where you have to think about that carrying expenditure and also how to grow the economy. So Uhuru comes in, he looks at the taxation system. It's not even worth to run the country per year in terms of budget. So he does what he had to do to survive his 10 years. What did he do? He did what he had to do to survive. He had to borrow, so that we could run as a country. He continued with the free education programs of Kibaki without complaining. And so the man did what he had to do to survive. Good. Now comes in this new regime of William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Now, I'm telling you this without any shadow of doubt. The manifesto on which they ran their campaign was worth to fix this country in 3 months' time. You know, they knew the problems. They understood very well the problems of this country. Yes. It is on record when President William Ruto, when he was the deputy president, was saying, and I have said this on air, and I will keep saying it because it keeps cropping up, because it's a major economic thorn in the flesh for Kenyans, the issue of fuel. You know, William Ruto is on record saying that we do not have a control of what happens outside there geopolitically and economically in terms of fuel being affected by wars. If anything, by the way, do you know the fuel prices in the world are going down? Yeah, because of the wars. Because of the war, yes. They are going down. Yes, yes. And so he said, what we can do is that so much levy and so much taxes goes to the government. One of the things we are going to do when we get into power is look into the taxation system of fuel. And so when William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua comes in and take over, the first thing they do, the 8% that Uhuru had taken away to help Kenyans, and by the way, these things are intertwined. I will come back a little bit to Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai and his collection of taxes in his last 2 years. So the first thing they do, instead of cutting the taxes like they had promised Kenyans, they increased the taxes, you know, the 8% Uhuru that had taken away. Yes. And let me tell you, miraculously, the last 2 years of Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai, I'm playing the devil's advocate, by the way. I want to do very independent politics. I want to do very independent analysis, because that's the only way we can help this country, my brother. As much as we would want to take sides, but I think independence of analysis in terms of politics and economics is going to help this country, Simba. And so Uhuru comes in, so they add taxes and they continue to overtax Kenyans. Yes. They had spoken about the issue of taxation. By the way, Mr. Deputy President, no one is refusing, no one is disputing the issue of paying taxes. Kenyans have a problem with being overtaxed when the country is the way it is today. Let me take you a bit briefly back to Uhuru Kenyatta. Yes. The last 2 years of Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai, the last 2 years in his last term is the time he collected so much revenue in this country. He was faced by hunger. Okay, we did not have sufficient rain for the last 5 years when Uhuru was president. Yes. That is the time we were faced by a pandemic in this country. And so what did Uhuru do? He cut down on taxes. Okay, he took away the 8%, you know, on fuel. He gave tax cuts and tax reliefs, and miraculously that worked wonders for him. He collected 1.8 trillion in revenue. That is the highest that he ever collected on the face of a pandemic. So we have to borrow. That's why I'm telling you, we have to speak about the good, the bad, and the ugly of every regime. You cannot tell me Uhuru was all that bad. Also, we need you to talk about the good things he did for this country. There are things that you can borrow from Uhuru that he did. Even you can also borrow the bad things he did and avoid taking that direction. Read from his presidency, read from Kibaki's presidency, read from Moi's presidency, read from Kenyatta's senior presidency. Do things differently. Kenyans, I told you last time, are being disappointed by their own expectations that were put on the manifesto this government campaigned on. And this government campaigned 100% on an economic card. And if they stick to their manifesto, I'm telling you, 3 months were enough to turn around this country economic fortune.
I'll be coming back.